to President's Riverside Chat. Today, on this episode, I have with me Miss Nickeisha Walsh. She's the Executive Director of the Students' Loan Bureau. Yes, the Student Loan Bureau, which many students depend on to finance their education. So she'll be talking about the Bureau and some of the activities they're engaged in now during the Hurricane Melissa relief efforts, but also more widely about how she is transforming the Student Loan Bureau to make it more student friendly and to ensure that you get the loans that you need. But if you didn't know, Nickeisha is also a past student of our university, and so she'll be sharing her journey from UTech into the corporate world. So, Ms. Walsh, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Student Loan Bureau, it's something that students need, but sometimes fear, and I look forward to hearing more about your journey and what you're doing with the organization. But I want to start with your story first. You're a past student of UTech. What did you study at UTech?
I did a diploma in business administration, that majors in accounting.
Okay, so you have a diploma like me. When
Yes.
My diploma is in mechanical engineering, right? So you came here. I mean, the business school went through several evolutions.
Yes.
So you had the commerce department, that was a name for a long time, and then it evolved into School of Business Administration under the College of Business and Management. So what era were you?
I was at the latter part of the college.
Okay.
Yes, and
Right.
I was the first batch in the university, so I graduated in 2000.
Okay. So by then the name had changed?
Yes, the name had changed.
From commerce department
Yes, to UTech.
Okay, well, the university, yes. So just if they're not following the conversation here, in 1995 we
Yes.
transformed from the College of Arts, Science and Technology to the University of Technology, Jamaica, or UTech. So you were here during that transition.
Yes.
Under Dr. Ray Davis was the president
Yes,
at
he
that
was.
time. And so was it always your ambition to study business?
Yes, when I was in high school, I grew a passion for accounting.
Which high school was that?
St. Hugh's High School for girls. Yes, I was at the batch when we were green and white. I think they're now in blue and yellow. I remember when I went to third form, I had an amazing teacher who introduced me to accounting, and I grew a passion for accounting. And then I knew that I needed an institution who could help me to strengthen on that passion, and UTech would have been that institution because of how their courses were developed or designed to be more practical and hands-on. And that is why I chose the University of the Technology.
And so when you finished there, were you on halls or you commuted?
I commuted. I commuted.
I always encourage students to try and live on the halls if they can. It's more immersive. So being a commuting student, do you feel like you had the full experience?
Yes, I did, because at the time the public transportation wasn't so modernized. So remember when I used to be in Halfway Tree trying to come up to the campus, we used to have to, lay with the buses to try to get onto the buses to try to get seats. So it built our resilience.
And this was before JUTC.
Long before JUTC. So it also gave us that resilience, because if we had to go through that experience to come to school, it means that we wanted to come to the institution. So I think that was a good part of the journey, because where I'm at now, I can remember the different scenarios that I had to go through and then come out on top. So it added to the whole experience.
And outside the classroom, did you get involved in anything else extracurricular?
I did swimming.
Swimming?
Yes.
Wow.
I swam for a year for UTech.
Wow.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
So you were an athlete. All right.
I can say so.
Have you kept up with swimming?
No, I have not. I have not been able to find the time, but I think it's something I want to do. Probably something that's on my bucket list for next year.
Yes.
Because swimming helps to develop the entire body, mind and body. So I think I need to, take up that activity as I go into the latter part of my years.
Well, go on. You don't look it, so we won't even go there into the latter parts. I think you're way off that journey. But so you have this amazing experience at UTech, and then what was your first entry into the corporate world?
My first entry into the corporate world, I worked at School of Hope. It's right on Golden Avenue. It was a school for the mentally challenged students. I got the role as an accountant, just leaving UTech, not having any practical or work experience, but I took it on because the courses that I took while going to UTech prepared me for somewhat real life situations. And going into that facility back in the days when there was no technology, no systems, no programs, it was manual. It helped to cement the knowledge, the competence area of the accounting field. So I think that experience also built me for where I'm at today, because I understood manual processes. I understood when we had to build it from scratch. Now you have systems and technology, but when you have that background with the system, it makes it so much better.
Wow. And so, so from that humble start, and just listening to you, before I go to my next question, it's interesting how you kind of threw yourself into that job despite the challenges, and it's certainly something that we try to infuse in our students, that can-do spirit, that resilience.
Yes.
So you started from that humble first job.
First job.
And where did you pivot to next?
Well, it took me to, I went to Grace Kennedy for a year.
Okay.
Because I wanted.
That's when I shift.
That's when I shift, because School of Hope was public, was government, and then Grace Kennedy was private. I wanted to understood the dynamics of that area. And then I got an interview for National Solid Waste. They wanted a senior accounting officer. At the time was a junior accountant at Grace Kennedy. But I took it anyway, because for me, I'm always open to see what is out there. So when I went to the interview, they said to me I was overqualified and I had too much experience, because the senior accounting role was a little bit more junior. And they asked me, why did I want the job? So I said I'm always eager to learn, and I don't really consider any job less than other. Everyone is a learning experience. So when I went away from that interview, they called me 2 days to say that there's an opening at Montego Bay for an accounting manager. And I was ecstatic, because the job wasn't so senior, but I did not turn it down. I didn't look upon it to say, I'm better than that job, because you never know what your next door going to be like. So sometimes, you're in a situation, and it is for students who have graduated. They might graduate and do certain things or pursue a certain career, and then there's an opening for something that you feel like it's a little bit lower than what you expect. Start anyway, because you might never know what that start would lead you. And that's how I started the journey in account, and also in leadership, because being the accounting manager for the WPM in Montego Bay was my first management role.
Okay, you're managing people.
No, I'm managing people.
Right, and that's a skill in itself,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Wow, awesome. So you had to move to Montego Bay?
Yes, I had to relocate.
Yes.
At the time, my son was 1 year old.
Okay.
So I took him with me to, experience what Montego Bay was like.
Right. Well, I lived in Montego Bay
Oh, that's
high
nice.
school years.
Oh,
Were in
okay.
Montego Bay. So, so it's somewhere I know very, very well. I went to Riverside high
Oh,
school.
okay.
Yeah, so how did you find Montego Bay?
It was different. It was different.
Having grown up in Kingston?
Having grown up in
yeah?
Kingston, I went to Montego Bay.
So that was country for you?
It wasn't country, because I was in the town area. I was at Ironshore first, and then I moved to Boog Village for the job. It was different, but the experience was good. Sometimes you feel like you move to another country. I felt like I moved to another country to experience that side of the island, where tourism is the bread and butter. And persons weren't so much in corporate. They had other jobs. So I spent 2.5 years in Montego Bay before I relocated back to Kingston.
Okay. All right, so there's a lot going on there, right? And when you moved back, were you still working at the same company?
No, when I returned, I went to MediaNet Limited. That was a company that partnered with e-learning to provide, I think it was at the time, not tablets, it was a computers in school where they were building labs in each of the high schools. And that also gave me the opportunity to know where all high schools are located, which I can tell you, some nooks and corners. And we deployed laptops throughout the schools. I was the manager of finance and administration at MediaNet Limited. I spent 5 years there. And that job really molded me for even greater things because I had a responsibility to manage the entire organization, logistics, the people, the financing, just a general management. So that gave me the opportunity to look at strategies that I wouldn't think about, because when you're in accounting, it's just black and white, the balance and the figures. No, it's people and moving resources and forming partnerships. So that was a good start. Another part of the journey that I loved.
Each move was a stepping stone.
Each move was a stepping stone, and it prepared me for another level.
Wow. And then, so there are quite a few other jobs on the way. Just two more.
Yes, it was Passport, PICA, and SDC.
Okay. In what order?
So I left MediaNet, I went to PICA as the accounting manager, and then I went to SDC as the director of finance and admin, and I went back to PICA as the deputy CEO for corporate services, and then I'm here at student loan.
Wow, that's an amazing journey. I feel so proud listening to you, and I say it every day, that working at UTech for me is one of the most purposeful jobs I have, because we transform lives.
Yes.
If you just reflect on the fact that from your graduation from this institution, from UTech, it has led you to go on an amazing journey from across a diverse range of companies to where you are now, and that is the typical story of the UTech student in terms of the platform that they get. So perhaps, I don't know if you'll agree with me, but now you're in a role that you're able to help students to go on that journey, right? To become the next Nickeisha Walsh. So I'm curious, how did the student loan job come about?
Before we go into that, I am a beneficiary of SLB. I got the opportunity to attend UTech because of SLB. So going back to SLB was like my way of giving back. So I was at PICA, and I would have been responsible for putting strategies and plans, managing the entire HR, finance, business development, procurement, HR, finance, all of those areas. And I saw the job in the Gleaner, and I'm like, I wonder if I could take on a bigger role. Even though I knew operations at PICA, and I was very heavily involved because the strategies also impact the operations. But I wanted to give back to SLB, because when I saw the ad, it just brought me back to when I graduated from sixth form, and I wasn't able to attend university. So I worked for a year. And while working for a year, I recognized that if I don't get educated, if I don't attain tertiary level education, I may never able to achieve what I set out for. And so I went to SLB and applied for the loan, and I was successful, and I also got a grant because of my economic background. They offered me a grant, and it helped me throughout my 3 years at UTech. So when I saw it, I really wanted to go and to give back and to see how I can help to bring the organization to the next level.
Absolutely. And how we found it, right now you're going through a lot of transformation. You've changed the logo, you've changed the location of the bureau, you're changing a whole series of processes. The government has announced the removal of guarantors, and there's a lot going on. Let me in on what is motivating this high level of transformation. There's a lot going on at Bureau.
All right, so when I started SLB, I started in 2021. And when I went in the organization, my first task was to understand what is happening. Being a beneficiary, I have the customer experience. I remember when I went to SLB and the long lines and the,
But I'm also a beneficiary, and I do remember the long lines. Yeah.
Right, but that had changed since then. But I wanted to understand from an internal perspective, because sometimes the customers might be saying something, but internally, there might be challenges that the customer don't know. So I took the opportunity to assess, to see what is happening and what we could fix, because sometimes the fix starts inside out. Sometimes we want to fix and change everything, but we have to fix the processes internally. So they had started a new system, the loan management system, because the previous system, had some hiccups. So we wanted a new system. But what we needed also was a whole organization restructuring. So while we were working on building the system, we're also working on putting together a new org structure that would get defined rules to help support today's society. Because the SLB has been existing for 54 years, so you can imagine that structure no longer supports a culture that is heavily social media, that is heavily technology, that is heavily project driven. So we did a new structure that includes a client relationship department, a projects department. We merge application and disbursement, so it's one seamless process, and we'd have added some other positions geared towards meeting this generation, and also the bigger picture, because we want SLB not just to offer loan, but also to give value added services, because our students want mentorship, our students want financial literacy, our students want us to partner with private and public entities so they can get jobs. So we're looking at those kind of partnerships to see, I have a database with all my students, what their grades are, where they're coming from, how can I help to place them in institutions. So that's what we're trying. That's the next step of the journey, but we have to fix the base or the foundation first. And then we recognize with the structure, we're going to need a new location, because we wanted a customer-friendly environment, where our customers come in and we can be served, and our internal staff feel valued and want to come to do their best. And I mean, they say that, when you have a God, and when you are faithful, it will line up. Because literally last year, November, we saw this location at 86 Hope Road, and we were in by June. We renovated, we do everything, and we're in by June, so everything was lining up. And then because of the new location, the branding was always on one of our strategic initiatives, but it was an opportune time now. We wanted the system to launch first, we wanted other things before the brand. But we had an opportunity to, put in the brand with the new building. So we did that. We shift up, some of our different initiatives to put the brand forward. A brand that is more modern and more student-centric, what they can relate to. It has two hands coming together, which is a partnership, and it has the S in terms of being solid and secure, and will be here for the next 50 years or another 50 years to come. And that's how the brand came in. And then the system was launched yesterday, December 8th, where our students now can go on the system, they can access their account, they can print their statements, and they can pay online. So that has launched, and in space of a day, we would have seen approximately 3,000 persons onboarded and are now able to access their account, look at what their statements is showing, and can manage. Because the idea of repayment is for you to be empowered to manage your debt. So you can see, you can make lump sum, you can manage yourself. So that has launched, and that's going well. A few hiccups like any other system, and we're working through it. And then again, I've said before, God designed things in such a way that doors are opening. Then the government now has the new debt reset program, where we are offering, and we have applied, and that was confirmed this morning, that the students or the customers that are in good standing, we would have applied 100,000 to our account as our way, of strengthening the partnership with them. And then for those who are in delinquent, we are now offering 50% waiver of interest arrears, 100% of late fees, 100% off insurance. So they have 5 months to pay their balance, and then we waive the difference. And that's also ruled out yesterday. And then with the Melissa relief, as you would have mentioned earlier, what we have done is we have applied a deferment of 3 months to the customers who are in the 5 impacted parishes. And then we are going to be giving a granted aid of 60,000 to students or attending institutions within those 5 parishes. And again, we do have a case-by-case basis for students outside of those 5 parishes that may be impacted to contact us, so we can assess them and also give them those benefits. So it's like everything is happening, but it started from 2021. Prior to 2021, when we were doing the groundwork, I mean, a lot of challenges. I remember 2022, it was a difficult year. Everything was going wrong. But the team, they're resilient, they may remain committed, and they knew that we'll be at a space where the customers will be getting better customer service. We still have issues. I mean, we still have a lot of issues, but we are committed to working them out.
But I guess the key thing is that you have painted a vision, so it's just, everyone knows the destination.
Where we're going, right. So we're just trying to knock off each of those initiatives to the destination.
Awesome. And so, when you talk about rebranding the students' loan, because, during my time, there was always a fear, the application process was a bit more onerous. For example, you needed guarantors, which you no longer do, which is a huge step. But I notice when I speak to my students now, they're still kind of, hesitant, more so because of the idea of having debt after graduating. So we have been trying to encourage them to still seek the loan, because it's better to have the tuition covered. But how are you, I don't know if you've done any research on it in terms of the attitude of students towards the student loan, and are the new measures, such as getting rid of the guarantor, are they having an impact? Are you seeing an increase in applications?
Well, I'm happy you mentioned that, because before I reach into the measures of the no guarantor, what we're seeing, and we did a study last year, because we still want to have facts and statistics about what is really happening. So when we're implementing the measures, they will have lasting impact. So it's twofold. I want to say this generation, not into the habit of debt. They don't want any loan. They don't want any responsibility. They just want to live. And I understand that. And I also found out that the parents, they don't want their children getting any loan. So they would have probably experienced what we experienced. And that is the mindset that they still have today. So they are saying that they will do anything for their child not to take a SLB loan. But having a SLB loan, it builds you, it builds character, it builds how you move forward in life, it builds your responsibility. So we are now working to see how one can have a parenting workshop, just to educate the then parents and now parents what the SLB stands for, and how having a student loan is not necessarily a debt, but it's an investment in themselves. Because if I did not take that leap of faith in 1997, I would not be here today. If I was thinking about the debt, I would not be here today. My debt has been paid, and I was delinquent. I was wanting to tell persons that, yes, life happens, and I got myself out of the delinquent state and end up closing my loan, and it gave me the ability to get the experience to be in this position. So it's not necessarily a debt, it's an investment in oneself. So we see the no guarantor, we see that the applications are increasing, but we're still seeing the hesitancy in really taking a loan for their education. So we're looking at what other strategies or market initiatives or partnerships with the schools that we can do, because we want to reinforce that education is still the way.
Absolutely.
It is still the way. So I know that they have the TikToks and the different avenues of making money. But when you're educated, it's not just about the degree or the certificate, but it's about critical thinking. It's about partnership. It's about working together in groups. It's about resilience that it builds you for your business. So you don't have to do the traditional path, but with your education, it can help you in whatever path that you choose.
So that point is so important because I know sometimes it might seem daunting for the students to say, I'm going to have a loan, but as you said, it's an investment. And just listening to your story and how you've shared the ups and downs, even with your loan, but in the end, you know, it has given you an amazing career. One that you should be very proud of.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so we look forward to more transformation because I know you want to make SLB more accessible and easy for your customers to use. And so I'm excited about this new portal that you've introduced. So they can now manage their loan online.
Yes,
right?
They can.
So that's going to be awesome. One last thing, we now have a student loan hub at UTech.
Yes.
And I know it's something you're introducing across other institutions. Tell me about the hub.
Well, because SLB has one location, and sometimes we want to, as I said before, the new structure is designed for client relationship. It's about building a relationship with our students. We want to build a relationship throughout their journey while in school, into repayment, because we want to have them as a brand ambassadors, so we don't have to be chasing them to pay the loan. They understand that their repayment is what helps the next generation. So to be on campus where our officers are here for a couple of days during the week or for the month, depending on the institution, is to give that one-on-one service. So they don't have to be calling, they don't have to be traveling to the location. They'll be right here. We can access their account. We can tell them, we can help them with the application if there's any glitches. We can collect their documents. We can, give that personal touch. And it's one way of rebranding ourselves for us to be a partner in your journey, and not just an institution that gives a loan.
Indeed, and I have been in the hub and seeing the impact of having your staff here. So I think it's a great initiative.
Thank you.
Ms. Walsh, Nickeisha Walsh, it's been amazing talking to you. It's always good to have our past students back here on campus. And thank you for sharing your story. It's an inspiration. And, we look forward to the SLB continue to help young Jamaicans pursue tertiary education. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to the President's Riverside Chat, and on today's episode, we've had Nickeisha Walsh, Executive Director for the Students' Loan Bureau. Tune in next time.